On Wednesday, we went to an event with Louise Pentland to celebrate Time After Time. So this video is going to be some event vlog footage for you and our review of Time After Time by Louise Pentland. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week. And this is Linda. Welcome back to the channel.
Thank you, Katrina.
It's been a while
everyone.
since we did a joint review in the same room.
It really is, yes.
But we have a tradition of listening to and reviewing together Louise Pentland books. And so it seemed apt that we were going to this event together. So we listened to the audiobook partly in the car, partly whilst doing a jigsaw. And then went to this Liverpool event. So I am going to let Louise introduce what Time After Time is all about to you now.
Joke. It's amazing. It's 7 out of 10. It's about a girl called Tabitha, and Tabitha starts the book thinking that life is probably okay, because I think that we all feel like it's probably okay. Yeah, things are fine. But social media makes her feel like her life should be so much more. So she's 26, she's in a relationship, she lives in a nice little cottage, she works in a vintage shop, which was lovely to write. And she's got a best friend, and it starts off where she goes for Sunday dinner with her mum and dad drops the biggest bombshell he's ever dropped. Not literally, it's there's no weaponry in this, it's an emotional bombshell, just to be clear. And it turns her world upside down, and she starts dealing with that. And while she's dealing with that, just to add some fun and frolics into the book, she accidentally time travels back to 1989 and meets someone that she never thought she would meet that completely changes her outlook on life. And then it's who that person is and why they are that's exciting.
So I will have some more of that event footage for you, because there were some very funny moments. I captured some of them on camera, but I thought she was better at introducing it than we were. So Time After Time, we got some free bookmarks at the event, which is quite cool. I like the colour. I was going to ask a question about why the cover had changed. If you've seen my TBR or my sort of what I want to read in the month of July, you'll seen that I mentioned about the fact that the cover changed on this one, and I didn't ask that question, but I wonder why it did. But yes, Time After Time, what did we think?
Well, it was different.
Definitely different.
I wasn't expecting the time travel thing.
No.
I hadn't read the synopsis.
No, me neither.
But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I did very much enjoy the book as a whole. It's just an odd coincidence that it's the second book with time travelling that I've read in the last few days, which is amazing.
It's all about the time travel.
Because I don't think I've read one before, to be honest.
No, yeah, Time After Time is very much what it says on the tin. It is, time travel. And if you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know that I have trouble reading things that have a bit of a magical element to them. But I wasn't too affected by this one. I kind of bought into the time travel because Tabitha, main character, works in a vintage store. I could see why she would have a little bit of a thing about the past, and being born in the 80s as she was, it seemed like 1989 was an appropriate time to travel back to.
Yes.
And we were at another book event at the weekend where the question was asked as to why are we currently so obsessed with the 80s. Of was it Richard Coles had written a book set in the 80s, and he was being asked about it. And so it was really interesting that we then almost immediately picked up a book that was set in 1980, partly in 1989.
Yes, yeah. And they both sort of came back with the conclusion that it was a time of good music, good fashion, and a time of great social change. Yeah,
it was the social change and the fact that so many things at that time were kind of like new and exciting and up and coming.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons. But it's interesting because Louise is basically exactly the same age as me. We would have been in the same year at school, and so it's always interesting reading about her heroines and her take on things, and her sort of take of the 80s is probably very similar to my take on the 80s.
Yeah.
And so she did talk a little bit about that in the event. I don't think I have footage of that, but if I do, I'll pop it in. But yeah, she did talk a little bit about the fact that she wasn't alive for all of the 80s, but she still has specific memories of it, which would be the same as mine. So I found Tabitha easy to relate to as well. Going back to you having read something with time travel in already this week, when we were listening to this, it was giving me very much vibes of Who's That Girl by Alexandra Potter, which Alexandra Potter has had a resurgence recently. Her book Confessions of a 40-something fuck-up is really still riding high in the charts, having come out in paperback. But her previous books did have a slight magical element in them. And in Who's That Girl, there was a sort of time-travelling beetle. And in this one, there was a time-travelling ring. And so it was giving me those vibes, which I thought was quite cool. But yeah, Tabitha in general, what do we think of her as a character?
I thought she was an interesting character.
Yeah.
She was, I did think it's strange she wasn't really fazed by the fact when she actually got round to realising that she was time travelling. Yeah. She wasn't really, I think I would have been freaked out completely by that. But she was very calm with it, really. But you felt like there was something missing in her life. Yes. Which kind of got all sorted out. Yeah. Because there were some really good surprises in the book.
Yeah, there was quite a few bombshells. The synopsis does sort of allude to one bombshell, but you said that you felt like there was something missing in her life and she wasn't fazed by it. But she went through so much in this book. There were so many things that were sort of dropped on her throughout the book. I thought that Louise was a little bit harsh with Tabitha as a character, and I sort of thought that if this had happened to somebody in real life, they probably would have ended up in some sort of residential facility, because it was a lot to deal with. Yeah, absolutely. There was so much going on.
But I think it was good that she had really good friend in present time and in the past. And I think that must have helped keep her sane.
Absolutely. I think that I was going to sort of say the main character was really interesting, and she definitely had a sort of motive behind why the story was about her. But then she had these two really good friends who were both kind of very lively and bubbly and go-getting. And so I think that kind of helped take Tabitha out of the funk that she didn't quite realise that she was in, and sort of see that something was missing in her life.
Yes. And yeah, I did like the fact there were so many revelations as we went along. Although I think we could see certainly one of them coming.
Yeah, we did predict one of the quite big revelations. But yeah, it didn't sort of take away from it, because we weren't sure how Tabitha was going to react to the revelation, or how she was going to find out about it, because we saw it coming but she didn't, and so it was like,
here we go.
Yeah, definitely. And then Louise talked at the event about how she likes giving people pretty names.
Yes.
But that she gives her sort of less nice characters, her villains, if you will, names of people she doesn't like, or names that are like people that she doesn't like. And so
that's hilarious.
Yeah. So we had the example that she gave of writing about David. David is definitely the villain of this book. He's a kind of, initially he's a very passive villain. As in, he's a villain because he does nothing. But then he turns into more of a villain.
Yes, he's quite nasty, really.
Yeah, we didn't like him.
No, we didn't want him to be there.
And I thought it was quite nice that what Tabitha went through changed her as a person, so she changed away from him as well. Like, obviously, you know, we're not talking spoilers here, but that's quite an obvious one. And we know in a rom-com, if there's a bad boyfriend at the start, they're probably not going to be around for the rest of the book.
They won't be there, no. After about sort of a third of the way in, they should be gone. Yeah. It took him a bit longer though, didn't it?
It did, yes. I mentioned in my written review, which is on my blog, always linked in the description box, that we listened to the audio and there were a couple of errors that hadn't been picked up in editing. So I'm really hoping that Audible fixes that and does a re-download, because that was a bit disappointing.
That's right.
But then I think I definitely would rather have done it on audiobook than had the hardback to read. Yeah. What did you think of the narration overall, apart from the fact that there were these random repeated phrases?
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought it was the person reading kept the level of volume sort of level.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people go up and down and they'll whisper a bit. And if you're listening in a car, that's
so
really
annoying
awkward.
when you listen in a car and they whisper.
Yeah. But I thought she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, and there was no major accents to contend with.
No, there weren't. No,
because that can also be upsetting in an audiobook.
Yeah, that can be really difficult.
So yeah, overall, I thought that the book was nice because it wasn't too taxing. It didn't. The revelations sort of didn't challenge me too much, although there was enough to sort of get your teeth into and keep you interested.
That's right. Yes, and when you actually begin to realise what big event is coming, what big reveal is coming, I think that keeps your interest as well, because you're like, when is she going to realise? When's it all going to come out? And you kind of like, oh, if she's in present day, when's she going to time travel again, and what impact is that going to have? And when she's in the 80s, you know, what's she gonna work out is missing next? Yeah. Can I just mention that I loved her mother?
Oh yes,
Tabitha's mother.
Yeah.
I just thought she was so funny, because there was this big thing, as it says in the synopsis, that father has a big thing to reveal, which was, I never guessed what that was going to be.
Okay.
And then the way that she reacted to it, the way the mother reacted to it, she was just so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not all funny.
No.
Because there was more things to come, but she, just the way she reacted and how she became.
She reminded me a little bit of Bridget Jones's mother. Yeah.
Yes.
This book reminded us of lots of other books.
Yeah,
that's probably a good thing. Like, we like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All books that we like.
Yeah. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this hybrid event vlog review video. I've done a couple of these now, so I'll make sure that my sort of event vlog playlist is linked in the end screen. And I will of course have linked our other Louise Pentland reviews that we've done together. We did one in a premiere in, so
we did. Yeah.
Gals on the go, we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me know what you thought of this format. Let me know if you have read Time After Time, or if you will be reading it now thanks to our review.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah. As always, make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future bookish content and any movie reviews or book versus movie videos coming your way very soon. I will be back with another video very soon, probably a solo video. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.
Yes, lovely. Thank you for having me again.
No worries, and I will see you with my next video.
Readers didn't really know much about that author at all.
Yeah.
You know, authors kind of stayed in their writing rooms. They might do an event like this, but obviously it's completely different these days.
Yeah, I'm out in the wild all the time.
But also people see a lot of your life on social media.
Yes.
So how much of what we see on your social media channels is the real you? How authentic is it that the version of you that we see?
I would say what you get is the real version, but I do only give a slice of my whole life. It would be really inappropriate for me to share my whole life, and also you would be so incredibly bored. So I just share the highlights of it and the interesting bits. And over the years, I actually think I share a little bit less than before, because if you've been around a long time, you'll know that the landscape of the internet has changed over the last 12 years when I started. So 12 years ago, you could shout about whatever you wanted and you didn't get much of feedback. But now you have to be careful, because you'll always offend somebody, or you have to have your own personal boundaries, or my children are growing up and there's things that I don't want to share about them anymore. So definitely what you get is completely real, but I'm just quite selective in what I will share now, and I tend to share the bits where like I've got some mascara on and I don't look like a fat prawn over my laptop, so like but I have to get into the zone and like really be thinking about the book. And then if I'm thinking about, oh quick, I've just got to shoot 3 frames for like a brand, I'm like, oh, I've gone. So I never feel like I have enough time for the books. And then what we do is we just clear the diary for like 2 weeks, or in January when I take it offline, that's a full writing month. And then what happens is, as it gets more and more intense, I just end up writing a lot in the evenings and just squeezing it in.